of nuclear weapons. On the 27th of September is the World Tourism Day. On the 29th of September is the World Heart Day. Stay tuned to TVC News for this reports and analysis.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Now, Nigeria is standing at the crossroads of a critical economic transformation. For decades, oil has been the backbone of the nation's revenue, providing more than 90% of export income since its discovery in 1956. Yet the economic tides are turning, and recent data suggests that Nigeria is gradually moving beyond its oil dependence. This pivot towards a non-oil sector presents opportunities that must be seized, but it only demands strategic foresight, reforms, and sustained investments. According to the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, non-oil exports increased by 6.26% in the first half of 2024, generating $2.7 billion in revenue. This growth, driven by agriculture, solid minerals, and manufacturing, marks a positive shift. Yet optimism alone won't carry Nigeria through the economic challenges ahead. To truly reduce its dependence on oil, the nation must address the key hurdles ranging from infrastructure gaps, regulatory bottlenecks that continue to impede growth in the sector. A development economist, friend of the house, Dr. Emeka Okengo, joins me live from our Abuja studios to talk more about Nigeria's economy and, of course, the challenges we face at this time. Thank you so much. It's good to see you. I like your white and the red cap. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Tolu. I like your suit and tie, too.
Well, interesting times, Doc, that we find ourselves, honestly, looking at what's been happening now. I know you'll be so optimistic about Nigeria, talking about getting us out of where we are and where we should be. But my question to start our conversation is that this policy reforms has been on for some time. What is your understanding and what impact do you think some of the interventions of government to address the fallout of this? How has it fared? How has it fared in your thoughts? Yes.
Well, development is a very tortuous, slow process. There's no shortcuts to sustainable development. You must walk the talk. And it is not a walk in the park. So when you talk about, how policies, remember that policies are not enough. Policies are supported with what we call programs and actions. So the first thing is that policy pronouncement, and the second thing is now framing, that policy pronouncement into programs that are now supported by actions. And this is where, the factors you listed when you were doing your intro comes in. This is where adequate infrastructure comes in. This is where adequate funding comes in. This is even where human capital is required. So when you keep hearing work in progress means that, that match is on. But unfortunately, it's most of the times when people hear this mantra, no pain, no gain, it also comes with a lot of demands, some of which, we are confronting now. So policies of government, yes, I think I won't call it policy. I think I'll call it determination, for us to be able to work out and then walk onto that right path. Might there be some gaps here? Yes, there could be some gaps. Are there areas I think that government should, strengthen or tighten what needs to be done? Yes, I would think so. But above all, what's also important for us to note is that you can't clap with one hand. Okay, where you have government, at one end, you must also have the citizenry, at the other side, so that it has to be a synergy of souls, a union and agreement for us to be able to push our country forward. That's always been my optimism. It is going to remain so for a long time to come.
But you would agree with me from the fallout of my first discussion about this price of fuel. Last month, yes, I know many times too, you don't always want us to stay with the figures. You like to face the reality on ground. But we saw that there was a decline in inflation. We also saw that the GDP figures were looking good. But analysts like you are saying that this hike in the price of PMS and, of course, energy costs might affect this moving forward. These little positives, there are many things that we're already putting together.
Instead of looking at it from the perspective of hiking price, I'll look at it from the perspective of right pricing. These are two different things. Okay? If you are talking about the right pricing, then you should be linking it to living wages. Because if you see most of the interrogations that have been made against other countries, what you're seeing is that people are just opposing the earnings of the other countries that are in that range, that are selling fuel as high as 2,000. So I don't think the major problem is, the hike or the price of the cost of the fuel. I think the major problem is the capacity and ability of people to afford it. That's what the issue are. If you had people, earning, the proper minimum wages that you now be calling living wages or realistic wages, then this hike couldn't matter. It would not be driven, by the market forces of demand and supply. And then you also now have alternatives. So when we are talking about the hike in price, the question will be, what is driving that hike? If you don't hike the price, would you see the fuel to buy? If you now say you want to, keep with the subsidy or under recovery or whatever it is, the name they call it, would you be able to now meet those demands you mentioned, the infrastructure that you need to be able to now properly and sustainably diversify your economy? It's a catch-22 question. So when you're talking about that tough decision, okay, it simply means, do I allow the cancer to keep growing, or do I go through, a surgical operation that's a little bit painful, might take some time to heal, and then I have a new body? That's what it is.
Let's take it a step further. Now, again, coming back to the reforms, and they are clear. FX liberalization and, of course, the removal of petrol subsidy. But at the end of the day, many will say that the FX aspect of this is what is hitting hard on Nigeria, and that's why we're having this impact on the price of fuel. But my issue now would be all the efforts being made by the Apex Bank that you've seen or understood or that you've monitored in recent times. Do you think that we're on the right track with regards to addressing the challenges we face in Nigeria's foreign exchange market? We still don't have enough liquidity. Manufacturers still can't get enough. Pharmaceutical space, those that want to get drugs, they can't get enough as much as they want. So how do we marry all of this together? Dr. Okengo, did you hear my question? Oh, I think we'll try to reconnect with Dr. Okengo there. The conversation was getting more interesting. And, I just expected him to react to that. Okay, Dr. Okengo, you're back.
Yes.
Did you get my question?
Yeah, I got your question about the Apex Bank and what they are doing about Forex. That's to what point I
Yes, please. Yes, please. I like your reaction to that too.
Now, and I'm saying to you, what the Apex Bank is doing is to manage Forex, is to be able to manage our exchange rates. Okay? Now, and then probably against the fiscal policies of government to be able to now, align our fiscal, policies and our monetary policy to be able to now, grow that enabling environment for productivity to thrive. If we had goods that were being sold in Forex, we would not have any Forex issues. That's very important for you to understand. If we had some fair share of the international market or whatever it is, I remember at one time, Nigeria, had a currency that was stronger than the dollar. What was happening then was that we had products that were being sold in the international market. Most of those products are still there now. It is just that because we discovered oil at one time, we left every other thing we're supposed to be doing and focused fully on oil. And then started treating, the other value points or ecosystems under the Pro-Poor program, especially agriculture. Agriculture became Pro-Poor. Now, agriculture is supposed to be a major, not only just a major forex earner, but a major employer of labor. Even now, at its very pedestrian level, it is still, employing a very large percentage, over 80% of the Nigerian people, albeit at the subsistence, levels. So, point I'm trying to make, Tolu, is that if we want to earn Forex and then become Forex, become a wash with Forex. And then we're able to now determine the exchange rate of Forex and then give our own currency some impetus and strength. We will need to have goods and services that are traded in Forex. And the value chain is endless. So it is not about what the Apex Bank is doing. It is supposed to be about what our productive sector is doing. What are we producing? What are we taking to the market? Even if you had 10 Genesis as sharing a seat as the Central Bank of Nigeria, if we are not earning Forex, we are not earning Forex. And that there's no way you can be able to now, use your Naira to start chasing a currency that you are totally and completely dependent on, even on the water you drink. That's what's happening. And that's what must change if we are going to be getting out of this quagmire.
And I think that's where the Nigerian Export Promotion Council comes in. We know that a lot of activities has been on the ground before now, even with the enactment of the AFCFTA, a lot of expectations from our marketers and our manufacturers and all of that. So do you think that we are doing enough now? We saw a bit of increase, $2.7 billion, I think, for a quarter or half of a year. We should be doing better than that. Where do we start from? Let's be a bit practical.
What we started doing, and again, it's not even the Nigerian Export Promotion Council. Theirs is to be able to market what it is. It is that volume. What we should be looking at is the volume. And we should be doing this volume against what's available to us. Okay? There's no way we can be talking about $8 billion and $9 billion. Well, we can be talking about $10 trillion. Do you understand what I'm saying? Our livestock economy alone, our livestock sector is valued over at $1 trillion. Imagine if we had, the return of our pyramids of cocoa, of palm, of whatever it is, especially in this day and time where people are going back into the days of organic, products. So it is not about the Export Promotion Council. It is also about the community development associations. It's also about putting every land, putting every technology into use. It's all about, building these technologies to be able to now support, homestead agriculture, where everybody now contributes 1 little, 1 kg, and then 200 million people are contributing to 2 kg, and we're getting 400 million, tons of what can be aggregated into something that can give us a large, portion of the market. That's what it is. So it is not just about, point I'm trying to make is that it's not about one agency. I mean, the tubers of yam you're showing on the TV are in baskets. They should be in silos, Tolu. Those bags of onions, that you're showing should not be in those bags. They should be in silos. We should be able to be producing millions and millions and metric tons of whatever it is that you're showing on that screen. And then that way, they will now start creating the value for you that can now begin to now give you, this characterization of being a major export earner and Forex earner. So if we do, a Forex-based export product, then we'll be able to get all the money that can get us back into where we are, in the Committee of States. So it's not enough for you to say, oh, we have done 8 billion. 8 billion of what? What size of land do you apply it to? How many people are into cultivation? How many technologies are we using to be able to pump our technologies? How many plantations are producing palm for us? Ditto for rubber, ditto for potato, ditto for every other thing that you're showing on your screen. And if you have 300, and I keep telling you this every time, how come out of our 323 dams we have in this country, not one, and I stand to be corrected, is supporting our aqua economy. We are still importing fish. So we need to begin to apply what we have as resource and then begin to turn those things we have into capital. That will make the difference, and that is what we get out of our doldrums. Policies, yes, will be good. Determination of government for us to move out of this will be fine. But determination and policy, unfortunately, is not enough. We must be able to take it to program and action and then take it to very conclusive, outputs.
Now, before I let you go, Doc, we need to touch on the burning issue. That's, of course, price of fuel, because we know that whatever this is, it will impact figures moving forward. Expected figures from the MBS and all of that. There might be an impact on all of this. So you talked about right pricing. Now, what do you make of the price at the moment of petrol? Because many will tell you that the landing cost is far above 1,000 naira, 1,100 naira in some cases. But we see what is happening at the moment. So what's your reaction to these issues?
Well, my reaction will be, if subsidy is not criminal if it's applied well. Okay, if government were to talk with Dangote is supposed to be paying taxes and one or two things. If that government was to negotiate with Dangote and probably, give him some level of tax holidays or something, it will be subsidy that can be able to bring down his cost. Because remember that output costs are driven by input demands. That's very clear. Now, that's one. Two, if you have, your mass transportation, if we had 200 buses in Abuja alone running, for instance, and then you have maybe 20 or 30 of them running the route of a Kefi to Zone 1, another 20 running the route of Day to Zone 1, another one running Wagolada to Zone 1. I'll tell you what will happen. A lot of people might not need to go and be buying, fuel in their cars to be going to work. They will start using that public transportation. So it is not about the cost of fuel. The point I'm trying to make is that fuel can sell for 10,000 naira. But if you have 10,000 naira fuel in a bus that is carrying 50 or 40 people, then you're able to share that cost of 10,000 amongst those 50 people. And then the burden will be less. The transport cost might be higher, but it will be more affordable. So it is all about logistics and planning. And again, what is important that we keep missing when we have a conversation of moving our country to the next level is data. How many people are we planning for? Do we have sustainable, data, reliable data that can be able to use in actually doing this plan? I tell you, let's not keep pushing government to say, because the more you put subsidy, something has to give for subsidy to come. And by the end of the day, it becomes a vicious circle. But if we're going to be moving forward to say what we want to do is to bear this thing for a period where in the next 6 months, people will have alternatives. I keep mentioning CNG. How come cars are not being retrofitted like yesterday, 24 hours a day with CNG kits? These are not new technologies. It's an alternative for people to be able to now start probably, getting some cheaper kind of fuel. So let's not be fixated on PMS. And then remembering, Tolu, that PMS is not even what we need as much as diesel in productivity. If you go to the factories, there are very few factories that run on PMS. Most of our factories are running on diesel. So if those factories are able to function at the high cost of diesel at one time and is even falling now, then we should be able to now know that PMS is not the killer pill. We should be able to work around it. What we need to do is, what do we produce? What can we produce? What volume is this that can be able to now take care of the cost of our energy? Be it PMS, be it biomass, be it diesel, be it methanol, be it paraffin. And then what other alternatives do we have? There are new technologies now of turbines that are using paraffin that I know of. How come we're not exploring those? So when we are fixated on PMS, everybody talks about PMS. PMS can be king except to make it king. The day you give an alternative to PMS, then you begin to find out that the market, forces of market demand and supply will kick in. It happened with our telecoms. At one time in this country, they were selling one SIM card for up to 25,000, 30,000 naira until competition came and they started giving it for free. So point I'm trying to make is that in making PMS king, PMS is king because PMS has no competitor, has no alternative. And there are so many and several that can be applied. What has happened to our rail system? Why won't be able to have, intercity rail transportation that can be able to move people in bulk? The moment you get mass transportation and it begins to function, then this will reduce. The moment you get food productivity, and we are producing not in seasons but in cycles. It's very important you take note of this, that we must move from season to cycle. And what does this mean? It simply means year in, year out, we must have the capacity to produce everything that is done on season and off season. That way you will never have a period where you'll be buying yam at 100 naira and another period where you'll be buying it for 10,000 because there are now the cycles of production. This is where technology comes in. This is where appropriate planning comes in.
Well, interesting conversation there, Dr. Emeka Okengwu. I must thank you so much. Always interesting having you on the program. Development economist. Thank you so much. Do have a productive week.
Pleasure, Tolu. Enjoy your day too. Thank you.
All right there. Well, it's time to talk trading now. And the Managing Director, CEO of GDL Stockbrokers Limited, Mr. Dele Sanusi, is already standing by to continue the conversation with me. Mr. Sanusi, good afternoon and thank you for joining the program. It's a new week. The market is starting up in red.
Same already. I'm no more in CBN. I'm now with the rostrum. And
yes, and the rostrum, please. I guess there's a mix-up there. Rostrum Securities. Thank you so much for that.